for contingency, which basically says some beings exist of its own necessity, and it doesn't receive any existence from another being, like another human being, another thing of life, but it rather causes its own being. And this causes most people understand it to be God. So Moses in the burning bush, Moses goes and sees a burning bush up, and God reveals himself and says, "I am," which basically means God is not a human being. He's not a being. God is existence itself, and he lives in existence. So there must be some sort of being whose essence is existence. And this ties back into the levels of being. So if being was the essence of a rock, a tree, animal, a person, it would have to be in some sort of unlimited way. But there's no unlimited ways. There's no infinite amount of time. There's no infinite amount of life that you can have. So the only way it could be unlimited is if God or something was existence itself. So, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, if everything that exists like were contingent, meaning it like doesn't have to exist and depends on something else, like then it's possible that at some point there was nothing at all. But like contingent things come into existence and pass away. So like if everything were like that, eventually there would have been a time when nothing existed. But like if there were ever absolutely nothing, then nothing could exist now. Because you can't like get something from nothing. And like since things clearly do exist, like not everything can be contingent. So Aquinas like all right, so he argues that there must be at least one necessary being and something that cannot exist, and that's what he calls God.
In the conclusion, therefore, some being exists, and its existence is from another being, but it's rather cause of a being,
Yeah.
and this is what people believe to be God.
And yeah, that's like it's a pretty strong point. Like I mean, I definitely agree with it.
All right, so the fourth one is gradation of being. The first thing he says is some things are going to be worse or more good than the other things, and we could rank these things
Yeah.
according to the goodness. Uh, so like things that we could like can rank is like a nice person to a mean person, like a healthy body to a sick one. But the one that I got from class is like Michael Phelps. He's known as the best swimmer, but as a person, he could always become a better swimmer because like we don't know what the max good is. Like he
Right.
hasn't like we haven't seen what the max good is from him. So he could always be improving himself as a swimmer.
Yeah. So I like this, like you were talking about, ranking things on goodness and things like that. So in class, we talked about how you rather have unlimited ketchup in your belly button or whipped cream coming out of your nose. Um, and then we based our things off of whether we knew it or not, it was the transcendental qualities of being,
Yeah.
which is like an umbrella of categories, whether it's goodness, justice, the beauty of things, or in truth. So we base our arguments off of that, and we kind of go back and forth of how good something is, whether it's practical or not, like what it can do for us. And then you brought up another good point with the Michael Phelps story. Mr. Webb was talking about how he was practicing his turns in the pool or whatever and hitting off the side of it, and how he started off as kind of like a pyramid. It's like he starts off pretty bad,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know how to swim,
Yeah.
he's kind of embarrassed. And then next thing you know, he kind of practices and increases the perfection of something. So like if you increase your perfection of something, you try to make it more to the most perfect version of that being. So Michael Phelps, the greatest swimmer ever, um, he's like the perfect being in swimming, and like because no one's better than him. So he's increasing his perfection. He is like the perfect model, and he's at the top of that pyramid, while everyone else is kind of at lower tiers and can't really compete with it.
My view on this, something that like struck me in class is like when you think about like the Xbox and Minecraft situation, when Mr. Webb talked about that, I mean, I think it made everyone's heads turn and like how Minecraft is a real game that you can play, but like it only worked because of the Xbox. The Xbox is the reason the game runs at all. And like without the system powering it, Minecraft wouldn't exist in that moment. And basically like it depends on something greater to function, right? And like Aquinas's like his fourth argument, it works in a similar way. And we see that like some things are like better or more good than like others, right? But those smaller levels of goodness don't like just all exist on their own, I feel like. And like they depend on a highest level, right? Like just like Minecraft like depends on the Xbox. Aquinas, I have like a kind of like a quote, but it's just like a note, and it's like when Aquinas says that if the things can be more or less good, there must be something that is perfectly good. And that was something that really like stuck in my head throughout this whole thing, and like the most perfect being basically. And like just like the Xbox is the reason that the game exists and works, the most perfect being is like the reason like all truth exists, like everything exists, the reason anything exists at all. And like Aquinas says that the most perfect being is God. Like basically I've said that all at the end of all my points today just because of this whole thing kind of comes down to like the most perfect being is God.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Like you can bring back into the thing the pyramid scheme. So like there's a most real being to something. So like with the pantheon problem, there's multiple gods, whether they're Greek gods, Roman gods, Zeus, you name it. These are all gods who they're not like the most real. They're not the top superior gods because they all do something different. They all do something else. They're all rulers of something else. So there has to be a something at the top of that pyramid that is the most real. Like Michael Phelps is his turns; those are the most real. There has to be something other than that, like God, that proves and shows that it's the most real and it's the most perfect being.
I found Aquinas's arguments very convincing because like what he's trying to say, he's not trying to try to convince us how the universe works. He's like trying to like say like why these things all come like to like truth. So like the like argument that like was like not like confusing me, but like the most like weird one. It was like the first one, like how things have to move. So it's like something has to happen for that next thing to move. Um, what failed to impress me? I mean, probably nothing. I mean, I kind of understand all these, and like they all make sense to me, and like my like Christian beliefs. Uh, what do I accept about these arguments? I accept all of them. I mean, they're all explaining that God is all powerful, all knowing, and He's all good. And that God is the greatest, and there's nothing that will be able to like top Him. And my understanding about the nature of God is goodness itself. So like, there's no other way that God could top Himself, and like we can never reach God's like status. Everything good in the world reflects God in like some way. Like truth reflects God as perfect truth. So like we just have to meet God's standards for being good. Not like try and be him, but like follow his perfectionness and like ranking things and like stuff like that. So yeah.
I really like the fourth argument. The fourth argument about the goodness and the pyramids and how there's an ultimate being and there's a there's a top of the pyramid into the most being and most real. I think that there's goodness in everything in this world, and there's badness in everything in this world, and there's a beauty and there's ugliness. I think that that is a good argument. That is strong and that I can support myself in. But I kind of get confused with the second argument. In like this is with the God of the gaps. It's like when Saint Thomas Aquinas is like, who caused God, and he's God is the uncaused cause. I feel like that's kind of like a God of the gaps thing that like it's never gonna be able to like it's gonna take some time to get proven because God's not gonna come down and explain this. But it's like, how is God uncaused? How like it kind of gets confusing at that, and I feel like it's just putting into oh well, we understand it's God because we just understand, we just think it's God. That's how I feel. And I think that I believe that God and nature is he's one. He's not like the pantheon problem where you have a bunch of different gods, hundreds of different gods. He's all powerful, he's all knowing, and he's perfectly good, and he finds beauty in things, and he exists for each and every single one of us, whether it's
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. Like when I look at the Aquinas arguments, like I accept that he's not like really trying to explain the science of like how the universe like actually works, right? But like I'm trying to figure out like why things happen at all in the first place. Because like in the first argument, like I accept that like things don't move or change on their own without like some cause. Like I feel like that's like an obvious type of thing there. But I mean, like in the second argument, I also agree that that effects don't cause themselves, and that like there has to be some like first cause, right? So then moving on to like the third, it's like I understand the idea that if everything depended on something else, like there would have to be something that exists on its own, right? But like with the fourth one, like I accept that like we compare things as better or worse, but like this suggests that there's like a higher standard, right? There's like a higher standard of goodness out there. And even if there's a debate about the details, I think each argument like makes a strong point that like points to God as being the highest being.
This wraps up part two of our Capstone project with me, Christian, and Brian McCarthy. Thank you, Mr. Webb, and